And we're live. What's happening, guys and girls? Apologies there for some technical issues delaying me to get live. But we're live. I see a couple of you already out there in the hot box commenting away anyway. Hopefully, we didn't lose too many people by the delay. But yeah, it was. Yeah, the camera was playing up there. Some issues getting the camera going, but we eventually got it. So, what's happening, Bobby? What's happening, Barry? Arcadia out there as well. Casa, just about to take the Caputa pizza out of the. Oh, Casa. Casa, my man. That sounds amazing. Right, I'm just about to pack up a bowl. Not that I haven't consumed enough there already in the last hour. As if you were a member of the Telegram Hotbox, you would have seen earlier on today, we would have let people know that it was my only son's third birthday today. So that was also a part of the reason for the delay for me not having the camera sorted and all of that stuff, because we were entertaining guests and family and friends and all of that stuff, celebrating the son's third birthday, which it was today. Arcadia says, fuck the US elections, Marty for president. Who knows? Who knows? There's going to be most likely an election called here in Ireland tomorrow. I will actually point out the fact that I'm feeling naked without my hat at the moment, but when I do have my hat on and an election is called, I'll take it off and I'm throwing it into the ring. I wonder how many of you noticed the nakedness on the head at the moment. I don't think I've actually gone live. I can't recall actually going live for a 420 News ever without a hat. But given that I was already late, I said, feck it, I won't bother running back in and going looking for my hat. I think I know where it is, but do I really? When you have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old who love, well, sorry, a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, sorry, correct myself there. Both of them love putting on my hat. And Elijah, in fairness to him, he's good for sharing with his sister. Yes. But yeah, tonight's show dedicated to Elijah and his third year circling the sun. Alright, Warp. He says evening all, Jabless. Yes, Jabless y'all. Let's blaze one and we'll cover one or two news headlines there for you, and we won't keep you here all night at all. Alright, Gary's after hopping in as well. And with Gary hopping in, actually, we have to give a big congratulations to the winner of the amazing grinder that was put up as a bit of a prize for the members of the Telegram Hotbox group. So if you're not a member of the Telegram Hotbox group, there's a link in the description, and you can click that link and join all the amazing community members over there. So with that being said, Jabless, Shlanta, let's hit this. Oh Lord. Who was I believe was it Rashers or somebody anyway out there? Hooked up a grower locally with the Clearwater Black Velvet genetics. Oh good Lord. Like it's only been in curing for the last couple of days, and I got a sample and it's absolutely amazing. Oh, I should have brought a nug of it out here with me. I just have some stuff grinded in the grinder. I don't know if it's going to do it justice here. Like no, but yeah, the camera's picking her up, which kind of gives it justice. Like, cause it's more purple than green. The buds, amazing, amazing quality. What's happening, Jason? Jason saying, some pair of lungs in you, Martin. Took a little bit of practice, alright. Hopefully they last. All right, Steve. I see Stephen Cav after hopping into the hot box there as well. What's happening, buddy? Been a long time since we've crossed paths, but hopefully all is well down there on the sunny coast of Wexford. um, did I miss anybody out there in the hot box? Don't think I did. Did I? Humble Gardener, what's happening? Humble Gardener 420 Organic for Life says much love and respect to the hot box family. Nice. Happy days. So, one of the first bits of news that I have for you is over in Florida. There was an election in Florida to vote on an election. There was a vote on cannabis legalization in Florida, and they voted against it. That was unfortunate, but Bobby highlighted the fact that Florida is a state which houses most of the older population, so people coming at it with a much older, more what would you say, like a not liberal view anyway, that's for sure. Some of the more close-minded older people are in Florida, so it was no surprise to Bobby. But I thought it was unfortunate. But he pointed out also that they've got medical cannabis in Florida, so maybe that was a reason why there was less support there for the recreational side of it, because maybe it didn't have all the medical support, which would be a lot of the older generation. Maybe the older generation are just happy in Florida with medical cannabis, and they didn't need to get out there and vote in favour of this. But let's see what they're saying in the news. Out there, the headlines. Boom. We won't go to any of these ones. Boom. We'd go to Forbes. Pop this up on screen. No, yes, that worked. So there we go. As we said, we go to Forbes. Have a look at this there over on Forbes, Witchy. So what the failure in Florida's Amendment 3 means for cannabis legalization. Privacy, blah, blah, blah. Boom. So this is a view from Will Joanskis. He's a Forbes writer. But it says in a major defeat for cannabis legalization, Florida voters have rejected Amendment 3, which would have legalized recreational cannabis for adults 21 and older. The amendment, which failed to get over 60% of voter support it needed to pass, could have been the start of a new green wave across the country. And this was something that surprised me, is the fact that it needed 60% to pass, that it wasn't just like 51 versus 49 and it wins. I had to actually get 60, which I was rather surprised when I seen that. I didn't realise that was a way in which was used to vote. But yeah, I needed 60% of the vote to actually pass. It says the Sunshine State is already home to the country's largest medical cannabis market, $2 billion in annual sales. So maybe that was some of the reason there as well as to why it might have missed. But it missed the opportunity to become the first red state in the South to launch an adult use market. And Florida, which is a population of 20 million and attracts more than 140 million tourists every year, was expected to swell to a $6 billion cannabis market by 2026 if this amendment passed, which it didn't. But maybe there's people who stand to make fucking more within that market that it is there now, the medical market, 2 billion annual every year. That's a nice chunk of change. So maybe they were kind of worried that their slice of that pie was going to get smaller with recreational. You know, if recreational becomes a thing and it's cheaper than medical, and the recreational is better than what they're getting on the medical, you see where that might go. So that could have been a bit of a pain in the behind for certain people out there. So yeah. Oh, excuse me. So Amendment 3, if Amendment 3 passed according to marijuana sales form, that is the $6 billion estimation by them, it says voters will have to wait another 2 years before cannabis can get back on the ballot again. That's a pity. But interesting. I wonder what, like, I suppose the whole Trump thing now. If Trump was to end it federally, what does that mean then on the state level? I suppose if the state still has it illegal to have a recreational market, that stays in place, and they can't vote on it for 2 years. So yeah, maybe it means nothing. The night's biggest losers are in Tallahassee-based True Leave, which spent 145 million back in Smart and Safe Florida. The organisation running Yes on 3 campaign. The campaign raised a total of 153 million according to campaign contribution data from the Florida State Department. That says so. Blah blah blah. The night's biggest winner is was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who had declared war on the cannabis ballot measure and spent an estimated 50 million on taxpayer money on radio and television ads to successfully convince enough voters to vote no. And Ken Griffin, the hedge fund billionaire who moved his firm Citadel to Miami, Chicago 2022, had also come out against legalization. And Griffin, a Florida resident, donated 12 million to the vote no on campaign 3. And in an op-ed published in Miami Herald earlier this year, Griffin cautioned voters not to repeat the mistakes of states like California, Colorado, and New York, all of which have legalized recreational cannabis. But is it really a mistake? Like, I know, like, listening to, again, there's only probably not there's not too many people I get to speak to about it, but listening to from Bobby, like, there's plus and minuses to it. Has it been a complete success? No. But has it been a success? Yes. It doesn't have to be a complete success in order for it to be a success. There's a lot to be learned from, say, places like New York and other places that have since legalized recreational cannabis. Like, I think one of the interesting things pointed out, say, by Bobby in the New York market and others, Margaret, wasn't it, over on the Edibles podcast, she also pointed out the fact that, like, say, limits on doses and edibles, these are some of the learning curves that have to be learned from, because if you put a limit on doses, all you're really going to do is create a black market where people can get access to higher doses, and the black market then thrives. And then obviously around licenses and all of that stuff, there's a lot to be learned anyway from places that have legalized recreational cannabis. None of them have been perfect, but definitely there's been good points to a lot of them. Says no one wants the widespread effects of legalization of cannabis, Griffin wrote. Skyrocketing crime, suffering among children, a decline in the quality of life in Florida's vibrant neighbourhoods, but Amendment 3 would make it inevitable. Seriously, like, come on. Suffering among children. As I said, we just had an amazing day here celebrating my son's 3rd birthday. There was no suffering there. A happy child from start to the end of the day. Just getting finishing off the day there now, getting to say goodbye to his cousins and what have you, and going up to bed. No suffering there at all, unless his dad actually used to be arrested today and wasn't here to actually celebrate that day with him. And that wasn't cannabis doing that. That would have been cannabis prohibition, which, you know, Griffin and the likes of him quickly forget about when they're writing their bits and pieces. Like, what's going through these people's heads, like, when they're willing to put so much money up to say no to cannabis, when, like, do they not have other problems over there that are actually bigger problems to kids? Like, what's the state of, like, the childcare system over there in America, or let's say Florida? Is it really top notch? Could they do it like an extra couple of million there maybe to improve the services, let's say, to some of the kids there who have been, you know, down and out in their luck? Maybe they haven't had the best appearance, end up in the care system. No, apparently donating it to say no on cannabis is the best way to spend his money. But yeah. It says the amendment received more than 57% of the vote, a strong majority, but not enough to surpass the 60. So in my eyes, it won. In my eyes, when it comes to democracy, that won. I think a 60% vote in favour is ridiculous. So my idea here is that it did win, but unfortunately, because of a corruption within that democracy in that state, 60% was needed. So the majority of people actually didn't win. A minority actually won in that situation. That's a pity. And it says here the measure even had the backing of former President Donald Trump. Well, now the current new sitting President Donald Trump, newly elected. Brady Cobb was the son of Florida's most prolific pot smuggler of 1980s, who started his own legal cannabis company called Sunburn Cannabis in 21. He calls the failure of Amendment 3 a big blow to the state's cannabis economy and the national momentum of legalization. Politically, it's a bad moment. This is going backwards, says Cobb, whose company generated 30 million in revenue this year from its 13 medical cannabis dispensaries. This is going to be perceived as a very negative by the whole industry. And it will, and it'll be used by prohibitionists to kind of say, hey, look here, look, these people rejected cannabis legalization. But actually, when you drill down into it, they voted in favour of it. It was just they needed 60% to be in favour in order for it to pass. But really, when you talk about like a vote, the majority actually voted in favour, but the minority won. That has to be said, like, by any person who talks about this. Like, it wasn't the majority that lost. The majority or it wasn't the majority that won. Sorry, the minority won. That's messed up. So it says here, Sinead Penny, the co-executive director of the coalition of for cannabis policy, education, and regulation, says the failure of Amendment 3 will signal a slowdown in the momentum of legalisation, but we will continue to see the illicit market control this space. And that's true, you know, for people down there who, I don't know how difficult it is to get a medical cannabis card in Florida, but for those who can't, the black market is always going to be there for them, I suppose, and you just don't know who's benefiting off the back of that. The industry is being used, the industry is used to get knocked down, she says, but we'll keep standing back up. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Nothing else going to keep me down. Yeah, but that's cannabis. So here you go, the state by state. We kind of went through it there a little bit last year on the last show last week. But here's a nice picture of the state laws for cannabis over there in the US. Currently, like Idaho and Nebraska are the only two where you have no legal use. All the other states, those yellow ones, that's like hemp legal, I suppose you could say. Low THC, high CBD strains, legal there. So basically what we have here in Ireland, maybe some of these have some form of decriminalisation maybe as well. But you can see the adult medical use then there, the legal adult states. Fair play to those. Just going to hydrate. Boom. So there's despite the defeat of Amendment 3, Paxia believes there is hope on the horizon. It says here, a lawsuit filed by a legendary litigator, David Boys, and other attorneys at their company's name here is still in play. The lawsuit against Attorney General Merrick Garland on behalf of several cannabis companies in Massachusetts is seeking to challenge the federal prohibition of cannabis and the government's ability to interfere with state-regulated cannabis programs. They argue that the federal government has abandoned its goal to outlaw and eradicate cannabis with the Controlled Substance Act, and that the states have the right under the Commerce Clause to police and regulate their own economies without federal oversight. And the next argument before the court is scheduled for early December. And it says, in addition to Boyd's case, the DA has scheduled a hearing on the recommendation to reschedule cannabis Schedule 1, the same category as heroin LSD, to Schedule 3 the same month. That'll be interesting if they reschedule it to Schedule 3. That'll be some move in the right direction, but again, should it even be scheduled? But anyway, that's an argument for another day, I suppose. But like to see it go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, that's certainly a win, as I believe it then qualifies for certain tax exemptions or something along those lines. So I believe it's a big win apparently for medical cannabis patients in the US. Says Florida's not the only state where cannabis is on the ballot on election day. It says voters in 3 other states, Nebraska, North Dakota and South Dakota, are also casting ballots on legalization measures. It says Nebraska voters will decide whether to legalize cannabis. Medical cannabis, North Dakota, where medical cannabis is already legal, voters could legalize recreational cannabis. And South Dakota, another medical cannabis only state, has the chance to legalize adult use also. So it'll be interesting to see what the results are there. They're probably out already, as this article was published 12 hours ago. So those results could be there. Let's quickly have a look. Let's North Dakota. Boom. Cannabis. North Dakota Measure 5 election results. Boom, boom. This is the New York Times. Oh, it looks like they're voting no. That's a bummer. But I'd say to people over there in the US, it's, you know, there are times go with your pop ups. Yeah, there we go. AP News apparently. They voted no. How much did they get defeated by? Where's the percentages here? Decline. Thank you very much. It's not giving any percentages here, is it? I believe on the other one here back on the New York Times, it definitely had a bit of a pop up. 52 to 47. So there you go. North Dakota, unfortunately, voted no. Nebraska. Let's see if Nebraska went in favor of medical cannabis. They approved medical cannabis. Happy days in Nebraska. So congratulations there to Nebraska on doing the right thing and allowing effective access to cannabis for patients. Well, we'll wait, get a moment and go Nebraska. I empty out my bowl and get one packed up there. It would have been nice if that was ready to celebrate with the Nebraskan patients. And who else we got that on the list? Let's see if South Dakota has taken a different approach to their northern brethren. South Dakota cannabis. Go with US today for a change. Not Florida, Nebraska. Oh, they have Nebraska here. So they have all the rest of them. So South Dakota page showing a no vote in the lead of 55%. Oh, no. Oh, that's an awful pity. So since North and South Dakota are strongly rejecting adult access to cannabis, South Dakota more strongly than North. I think the North was 52.5 to 47.5. So a 5% difference there between the two. Whereas the margin down here is much larger. What's that? 55.8 to 44.2 at the moment, with 95.33 counted. So there's already about almost 11% there difference. So the vote has not been called yet, but there's not enough of a swing there, even if all the rest of the votes were. No, well, I suppose if all of the rest were yes, they could pass it, but unlikely. So there you go. That's pretty much all of the US kind of news really covered at the moment. What's going on out there in the hot box? Let's get over to your comments, thoughts, opinions there, and all of that stuff. Keep them coming if you haven't already. Get them in there if you haven't already shared them. Keep them coming if you have. I'm just going to pack up a bowl and join you. Who might be enjoying already out there? Oh, I just spotted there. Actually, I have a lovely little piece of some nice homemade hash here. Oh, this stuff's just so soft, like. Oh. I won't go putting it into the bowl because be coughing up a lung here for a bit. All right, Wes, after hopping into the chat as well. Anybody else? Grief, what's happening, Grief? Grief Havoc. There's a name. Humble Gardener 420 says the non-smoking, non-drinking Trump, but in fairness, he does respect medical cannabis. He's a businessman, but federally legal under himself, probably not. Yeah, that's it. I find it very hard to believe any politicians. They all make promises, especially when it comes election time. For anybody like say voting in, like yeah, Trump should have done it back when he had his 4 years in office, and you want Harris, Biden, they're freaking off, their cabinet, whatever you want to call it, there they should have done it in their 4 years. So therefore, when it comes to this election, there in the US, not that I would be voting in it, but I believe neither side when it comes to ending the federal thing. Who would I believe more though? Likely to do it, maybe Trump, because as you say, like fucking the businessman in him might actually win over there. So who knows? Let's see what happens. Let's like blaze this next one here for a good 4 to 5 years there, because there's an election going to be called here as well in Ireland tomorrow, most likely. Friday at the latest, it seems. But most likely tomorrow. If I was to betting it, I'd be betting tomorrow anyway, that's for sure. So this next bowl, let's just offer it up. There are higher powers out there that good things will come, and the world will be a better place. At the end of the next government cycle, because the Americans are going into their new presidents and senates and all of that stuff, and we'll be going into our own new one as well very soon as well. So let's hope for good things to come. Go on, Barry Fields. Nice one there for sharing the link. Anybody who doesn't already give a follow over or a subscription over on Rumble, we're also live over there now at the moment, I do believe. So for anybody who does have an account over there on Rumble, do give us a like and a share and all of that stuff. Anybody else? Stephen Cav says 60% vote has been used on cannabis where necessary for decades. Never an explanation provided. None needed really, Steve. Like, come on, you know really what they're at when they kind of require you to have a 60% in order to win. There's one reason and one reason only, is that they don't want you to win. And they probably only push it to 60. They would probably make it 70 if they could. But yeah. Hey, what's happening, Chile? Chile's in the Chilbert UK is in the hot box there as well. Good evening. Hope everyone's blazing. Nice one. You know I am anyway. And there's a couple of slices of pizza there now and a few bits and pieces left over there now when I go in. So look forward to that. Definitely working up an appetite here with you anyway. 2 bowls deep already. Oh. Let's empty the next one before we go any further. I'll give a shout out to the friendly gardener as well. If I don't know if he's in the hot box, but can't forget to give a shout out, because we'd be bongless still probably without him. Couldn't believe that I couldn't get a 30mm downpipe for the bong that I had, the other bong that I was using for quite some time. Shout out to Ferg, the Cork Herbal Products Company, who gave me that bong. Being gifted bongs there by people. It's a nice gift to get. But yeah, I couldn't believe I couldn't get the 30mm down stem. Even online, it was kind of hard to find one that was appropriate. You could find bongs with 13mm down stems, but couldn't actually find a 30mm down stem that I wanted. But anyhow, we've sorted that out. I believe the guys in the Funky Skunk there are going to get one ordered in for me as well. So not to worry. We'll have 2 bongs now soon. Constant Gardeners in the hot box as well. What's happening, Constant Gardener? So said the boys are back in town. Yes, Mr. Finnegan, feckin' Condon, kind of a thing. I was giving out Finnegan by. Oh, Chilbert, that sounds nice. Sent to Mr. Wes. He's working on developing the perfect single skinner. 75% flour and 25% hash. Pairings for the effects and flavors. Nice. I've definitely rolled up. I don't know if would I say 25%, but I've definitely done some heavy uh, blunts with heavily packed with hash, and they're lung busters anyway. That's for sure. Effects powerful also. Flavors definitely undeniable that there's hash in there. It can overpower the flour a little bit. It's what I find. Um, but not completely. I think it could be interesting, all right, if you got different hashes, different flours, what kind of a partnering synergy you can kind of create there. But for me, it's kind of what's there. Like this homemade stuff, it's got four different strains in there. Like beggars can't be choosers at times. But definitely when once legalization, recreational or regulation happens, or once you've the ability to be able to kind of be specific about what it is that you're actually getting and what you're actually combining, then that's a game changer. But for right now, it's kind of I've hash that was made with strains, and I don't even know like what was the more dominant, like different kind of terpenes, ketones, and stuff like that that get sucked out when you're making the hash with the resin, all of that stuff. But anyhow, we dream, we hope, and we dream. Mr. West saying that's a healthy portion of hash chili. I need to up my game, so you and me both, Mr. West. Like I've definitely done bowls that have been maybe yeah, I've definitely done bowls where if 25% hash in a bowl, and only simply because I would put a little bit of weed only under it just to cushion the hash and just to give it that bed as well where it's getting heated like mainly from more from underneath than from up top because I like to get the herb just kind of going and use that then and kind of eliminate the flame at that point. I should really be using I've actually the hemp wick here actually right next to me as I say it, but I should be using this a bit more often. Especially when hitting bowls of hash because I'm just conscious of just how much freaking maybe butane that you're inhaling from hitting that hash, just that extra little bit. But again, like that's just being probably completely anal about it. Like, oh, I just have to point out as well this black velvet. It's absolutely coating my grinder here with keef. Like you probably can't see that out there now. Like, but the amount of keef that's fallen off of this black velvet here is absolutely insane. Like, I'm not surprised really that the buds were absolutely coated in resin. Um, but to see it just the grinder is just absolutely riddled with keef at the moment. All right, we won't hit this one yet. We'll leave it packed for another bit. Constant Gardener says, yep, and that ends a 5 day tea break, so it's welcome. Oh, fair play. I was only just talking to another person there a few minutes ago, and they were on a tolerance break, I think a couple of weeks into it now. And fair play to them, like me and another two buddies were there kind of consuming, hitting the bong and stuff, passing around and sharing it and enjoying it and talking about it. And the buddy was just kind of, he was there and he was on his tolerance break and he was just like, as much as I want, I won't. And fair play to him, showed that discipline, said no. But also at the same time, he was like, yeah, I like being able to be there and share, listening, talking to you about it and stuff. And I look forward to getting back into it in another couple of weeks. But right now, I'm going to stay on it. So fair play to it. And it really goes to show, how like how addictive it actually is. It's like addictive. I don't know, like it is, but like if you really want it to be. I think it's more a habit forming than like addictive. But again, look, that's a story for a conversation maybe another day. Yeah, Steve saying that there. Yeah, I always wondered about that. Does the butane not burn away before entering the bong? But that's what you're wondering, like. But what does it burn to, like? Does it just turn into oxygen and what nitrogen and all of that stuff, like? The stuff that we're inhaling anyway, or is there other stuff? But then, like you look at you're burning the hemp wick. Like, what's on that? Some of the hemp wick there is like wax and all of this kind of stuff on it. Again, we're just being anal, fucking stoners, worried about everything. Oh, paranoid. Chilbert says, working on the 1 gram pinner. 1 gram, that's a fatty for me anyway. That packs up like those single skinners nicely. If you do it like proper pinner size, like a Rizla, that's gonna be one fat little Rizla pinner. Like, I'm just thinking of that now, putting a gram into a Rizla. You wouldn't even have room for the roach if you could actually fit the gram in. Like a mini doink, yeah. Chilbert got that idea straight away. It took me a second to cop on actually to what you were saying there, like when it comes to the 1 gram pinner. Because to me now, like skins these days, they're just raw skins. Like I actually haven't seen a pack of Rizla in a while. I haven't been around people who roll their own now as well, to be fair. But yeah, Rizlas are definitely a thing of the past. Like, remember the days of putting 3 skins together, wise? The good old days. Stephen says, oh yeah, we read that one there. Yeah, it's clean natural gas. Bobby says, I've never taken a tea break. I think about it more and more lately. Yeah, it's something alright if you really want to get absolutely obliterated. Sometime like taking a tolerance break is good for that. Like, um, but what happens like is you get absolutely blasted. Like you come back and you've no tolerance. So like I could sit here with Gino, take a couple of bong hits throughout the next say what hour or two if we were to be streaming that long, and keep my shit together. If I was to maybe take a 3 week tolerance break and come back and try to do that, I would imagine I would fuck up a lot more than what I've been fucking up normally, naturally. But yeah, tolerance breaks, they're game changers, alright, for sure. If that's what you're after, if you're after just getting absolutely obliterated, you're kind of sick of like just ripping on the bong always and just kind of reaching that level, but never really getting to where you used to get before. Tolerance breaks are definitely are real. But for me, yeah, I'm just kind of happy with where I'm at. I couldn't imagine like doing like having to do a tolerance break again. I talked about it a good few times, but the only time I've actually done it was when I went to Thailand because I just couldn't imagine actually getting banged up in Thailand. So for that reason, I was just like, right, I'm going to go over here and not going to actually consume cannabis. We're going to go and get drunk, and which we did a little bit of, and we're going to train. And we did that for 2 weeks, ended up in PP Island, and we broke our tolerance break there in PP Island. There was a Rasta bar, and there was a Rasta man at the Rasta bar, and you can't not ask the Rasta man at the Rasta bar if, like, hey, what's the story with a bit of fucking an old doobie? And we got some fucking Thai weed, literally Thai stick, like, was only literally talking to the buddy about it a while ago, actually, funny enough. And if we were to get this bag of weed here, we would throw it back at somebody, be disgusted. But we were like just 2.5 weeks of a tolerance break, and it blasted us, like absolutely obliterated us. And we sat in the porch looking at a thunderstorm off in the distance approaching the island. Just as night fell. And we kind of smoked our doobies. We were worried actually while we were sitting there. We were like, kind of, what if the Rasta man at the Rasta bar is working with the cops and he's going to tell the cops, hey, we sold some tourists a little bit of weed, and now the cop is going to come make a little bit of money for himself on the island off of us. And that was funny. As we watched the thunder roll in, it was a good crack. Then we went down onto the beach where it was totally fine to buy buckets of fucking double naggins of like whatever spirit you really wanted, and ice and shit like. Probably dodgy as fuck, really, buying these bucket drinks on the on the beach and stuff. But hey, that was Thailand then. And yeah, who said that there? Thailand now. Yeah, Humble Gardener says, look at how Thailand has changed. Yeah, that's it. I can remember we done a barbecue beat down at the gym that we were at before we finished up, and they got us drunk before we got into the ring to do a bit of exhibition fighting. Um, Down and sang some the local rum, Thai rum, really nice drink. Actually, I enjoyed it while I was there. Wouldn't touch it now if I was paid to. But they were giving us that between rounds and everything. It was madness. But I seen what they do over there now. Actually, at the moment was weed fights, like where the boys like have bong hits, get into the ring, scrap it out for a round, do bong hits, and scrap it out for another round or two. Oh, great crack. Yeah, Thailand has really turned around. It's crazy to think if I was to go back there, I wouldn't have to do a tolerance break. Oh, I would absolutely love it to go over there and just train hard actually and not drink this time. That would be a game changer. We were actually strict. We didn't drink Monday to Friday, and then we were like, right, Friday we drank locally, and then Saturday we went to Bangla, down to Bangla Road. It was basically the bar street that was nearby to us where we were. And yeah, we were in Phuket in Thailand, not above in the mad place of Bangkok. We were in Phuket, so Bangla was the kind of the place where the parties happened. So we were pretty like okay, but to be honest, like Sunday wasn't even enough for recovery. Like come Monday, like we were still dying from the partying we did on Saturday. It was madness, absolute madness. uh, Nice one, Finnegan, for the happy birthday wishes there for Elijah and to everybody else in the hot box there earlier who sent in birthday wishes too. Appreciate that. Friendly growers happening. It's happening, friendly. We were only talking about you there not too long ago. Hopefully, your nose wasn't getting itchy. Just show my appreciation for the bong. Yeah, Gary, it was certainly an amazing memory. All right, definitely. Reminiscing on it with the buddy who was there earlier, coming up celebrating Elijah's birthday. He was there on the little porch that we were sitting on, and yeah, that was definitely one that hopefully I'll never fucking forget. Hopefully the seizures won't rob that memory from me. uh, Friendly saying it's in good hands. Let's hope so. Hopefully you don't jinx me there now. We'll end up dropping it there before the stream ends. Yes. So as I said, we did cover what went on there in the US. I'm not going to waste time going on about like Trump and the elections and all of that stuff. We covered the cannabis news over there in the elections, the different places that had votes there. Unfortunately, as we said, Florida didn't vote to approve. North and South Dakota also rejected adult use of cannabis, and Nebraska approved medical use of cannabis. So well done to those peoples. And North Dakota, South Dakota, Florida, boo. Boo to you. Well, fair play to Florida, actually. The majority in Florida, has to be said again, the majority in Florida actually accepted adult use of cannabis, but they lost. Just, oh, can't understand that. Um, all right, so let's start with the Irish one. Well, yeah. I'm just trying to think of where to start there on these two news headlines that I've lined up for you next. But let's start with the one from Ireland, and then we'll jump to an article coming out of the UK. So this one here out of Ireland, the headline reads: UK delivery driver had 50 bags of cannabis worth €1 million in a van above in Dublin port. So this individual, his name here, Dalit Singh, says he was paid £1,000 for the delivery and told Gardaí he'd been subject to a certain amount of pressure from third parties. Excuse me. So again, the court's hearing another reason as to why cannabis prohibition should have been ended a long bloody time ago. Because individuals like this one, if the story he's telling is true, and I have no reason to believe that it's not, these vulnerable individuals have been pressured into, doing things for small sums of cash. Really, when you look at the scale of what the money that's actually being made because of prohibition, like to give a guy £1,000 to hop into a van, bring it across on a ferry, and hand the keys over to somebody else, and get the ferry home, and you have £1,000 in your pocket. like happy days of beats having to go bloody work, sweeping the streets or driving, lorries or whatever it might be, to earn the same amount of money, and it might take you about a week. This individual being pressured into it, probably being preyed upon because somebody sees, hey, this guy's desperate for a bit of cash, he'll go do it there. And who knows, like this could have been one of a couple of deliveries coming over. They could have had 3 or 4 people on that same ferry, and they only needed bloody one of them to get caught. That ties up the customs, and then 3 or 4 of them roll on through then with the backs packed on full, like, all it cost the lads was, all right, look, a couple of kilos got taken, but all the rest of it got through. Happy days. £4,000, and they're able to get, like, let's say, based on the guards' valuation, 3 million worth of cannabis into the country if they manage to get three vans past. But just another reason why we should have had prohibition in there a long time ago, because that cannabis, if it was successfully landed in Ireland, it would have been sold, and the money would have been made, and it would have been made by criminal gangs who, again, exploit and prey upon vulnerable individuals. It would have been sold to and by vulnerable teenagers who shouldn't be doing this. They should be out fucking cutting neighbours' grass, washing cars and things like that. That I did as a kid growing up to make a little bit of money. They shouldn't be out there selling drugs. But anyhow, it says our delivery driver who was stopped in Dublin Port had 1 million worth of cannabis in the back of his van. This individual is 52 years of age. His address given here has been in the UK. He was also carrying boxes of foodstuff and bottled water when he was stopped by customs during a routine search coming off a ferry from Holyhead. He pleaded guilty at Dublin Circuit Criminal Court to possessing cannabis herb for sale or supply at Dublin Port, and this was going back to April 3rd, 2021. So this case is in the courts for over 3 years now. Absolutely insane that such a length of time is taken to process and go ahead with this case. And no doubt money being made all along by the different individuals in this. The guards, the legal teams, the judges. They're all making their money. They're all going home at the end of the day to their wives and kids and husbands. Whatever it might be. They don't mind. But the system's broken. Like, look at this. 3 years. 3 fucking years. At a hearing on Wednesday, Garda Stephen Flynn said Singh told custom officers that he was taking a consignment of food and bottled water to Cork. Up the rebels. Officials checked the back of the van and found 50 bags of cannabis herb concealed in brown cardboard boxes with an overall weight of 55 kilos and an estimated street value of approximately €1 million. Again, €1 million based on selling every gram of that cannabis for €20. Singh was taken to Store Street Garda Station where he was interviewed 7 times. During the first 5 interviews, Singh maintained he was contracted to deliver groceries to an address in the real capital of Cork and that he had not packed the van himself or looked into it. Well, at least he knew that Cork was the real capital. Fair play to Singh. Should have just left him off there and then, but maybe the guards were dubs and they didn't like that he knew that Cork was the real capital. But anyhow, during the 6th interview, Gardaí obtained a photo from Singh's mobile phone taken from inside the van, and he accepted that he had known he was transporting cannabis. And however, he said he thought it was just 1 bag of cannabis, not 50 bags. Singh said he was to be paid £1,000 for the delivery, which was going to be used to clear an overdraft. And he told Gardaí he had been subject to a certain amount of pressure from third parties over the matter, but he did not elaborate on this. And Singh has no previous convictions and lives with 2 elderly parents in the UK, the court heard. So this guy's 52, living with his parents. His parents are probably much older than that, and he could be looking after them. So again, they're going to be losing out if he is to actually be locked up. Because what if he is actually looking after him and that's why he's living with him? But Garda Flynn agreed with the Garnet Orange SC, defending that Singh had issues with alcohol and gambling, which had precipitated his divorce and financial difficulties. So again, as I said, preyed upon because, look, he's a vulnerable individual. He was desperate, seen an opportunity there to make a bit of money. And other people seen an opportunity to pay somebody a small sum of cash to transport something, that could have made him a lot of money. Mr. Orange said although his client was initially in denial, he ultimately made full admissions and came forward on signed early pleas of guilty. And the council said Singh had been in custody since his arrest in April 21 and that the prison necessarily has been more difficult for him as he has no connections to this country. Singh made a catastrophic mistake, counsel said, and put himself in a position where he was under an obligation to sinister elements. And Judge Orla Crow adjourned the case for finalisation next week, November 13th. Absolutely ridiculous. This guy's been in prison since, 2021, over 3 years, for some cannabis. All right, €1 million, they say, but really, like €1 million. What actually is that again in kilos? Was it 55 kilos? Seriously, 55 kilos. Come on, like, if you go over there to the likes of New York, over to California, that's sold every day. There's more than that sold every day. Like Bobby might enlighten us there in the hot box. Like, how much cannabis do you think is sold in a state over there in the US? Like, does it exceed like 55 kilos? Or is it £2.5 per kilo? So 200, let's say £125. Do they sell over £150 a day over there in those different states? I would imagine they sell way more than that over there. Like, and here we are dragging a fella through court, through the justice system, holding him in prison for 3 years for something that's sold on a daily basis in a number of states over there, not only in the US but also in Canada. It's insane though. It's absolutely insane. And his parents, elderly parents, most likely, if they were relying on him, have been without him for the last 3 years. How have they been getting on? How are they being affected? I hope they've not been badly put out by it. But it's crazy to think of the knock-on consequences of cannabis prohibition. Like, you're not just holding somebody in prison, but that's somebody. As I said, if it was me to be in prison today, that would have been devastating for my family, for my son, not to have me there. And we're looking back in years to come at pictures and videos and be like, Dad, where were you? Why weren't you in that one? Like, that would break my fucking heart, but that would obviously break his as well. Like. Because it was great to be there celebrating his birthday this morning. It kills me to think that that's been robbed from so many people out there right this second, right now, sitting in a cell somewhere right now because of a little bit of cannabis. It's, oh my God. It's sickening, absolutely sickening. And that's why all the shows from now on are going to include the hashtag free all cannabis prisoners. So that's a hashtag that I'm going to include in the description of all future shows. Along with, there's two hashtags in there now at the moment. Free Elizabeth Locke is one of them. And the other one is free Akuak Mowen. So those are just two of a number of cannabis prisoners being held unfairly behind bars in Ireland. I do intend to add to those names in time to come. But right now those are just the two. But I do agree, free all cannabis prisoners. That's the more important one there, I suppose. The others are just of people held behind bars right at this moment for cannabis. So let's offer up the next bowl there for the freeing of all cannabis prisoners. Next bowl of civil disobedience. And then we do have one more news story there then to get to. It's just another reason as to why cannabis prohibition should have been ended a long bloody time ago. And politicians, they have a lot of blood in their hand. Policymakers who've kept these policies in place, they have a lot of pain and suffering that they're to blame for, They've tried to blame drug dealers, drug gangs, drug consumers for so long, but ultimately, really, it's been the policymakers. Policymakers have refused to engage in like legitimate debates, like when it comes to like cannabis legalization, for example. We had a bill before the Dáil back in 2013, and Luke Ming Flanagan, the author of that bill, one of our politicians at that time, the guy who put it forward, he said it. He goes, some of the replies he was getting from the politicians who voted against it, he could tell it was blatantly obvious that they did not read that bill at all, because some of the concerns they were bringing up as to why they voted against it, if they actually read it, they would have seen those concerns were answered within it. But none of them take the time to actually read these things or answer on these things. And meanwhile, people are then in prison for 3 years. That's just one story that we just covered there. How many others have we covered? Those policymakers are responsible for that, and those policymakers alone. And that's something we need to be seeing more of in the media. Policymakers being held accountable for the shortcomings of the policies that they support. Prohibition being one massive one. Ah, but yeah, preach. I always come back to that thought that I'm preaching to the choir here. Like if you're here sitting here watching this, you're of the converted. You're already on that side of the wall. You agree with pretty much everything I'm saying. Most likely, when it comes to drugs, anyway. Maybe not all of you actually. I do know there's people out there who agree with cannabis legalization, but they don't agree with them with like all drugs being legalized or regulated or decriminalized, whatever the case may be. And that's interesting, and I enjoy those conversations. And I never fall out with people for that either. But anyhow, let's blaze this one up so that all cannabis prisoners will be freed. Oh, it's got a nice kind of a vanilla. Oh yeah, that's definitely got a nice vanilla-y, chocolatey kind of a thing going on there. I like that I'm in a small space to enjoy that one. So I think like on the exhale you get a bit more feedback there from when that smoke's deflecting back at you. But that's the black velvet, beautiful stuff. We also have actually some GMO here. Oh yes. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. And one of the buddies who was there a while ago, the guy who's on a tolerance break. Actually, he was having an old waft of this there earlier, and and I agree with him. Actually, he kind of pointed out this one is actually a lot creamier, more than earthier than the last one. The last bit of GMO that was floating around. And I do agree with him on that. But I also pointed out the fact that the last bit that was floating around, it took about like 2 weeks really for that earthy kind of flavor to come through. So I look forward to that one developing its flavor to the sample of that I got off of the local grower. What up, Rasher? Yes, appreciate that one there, Rasher. I believe it was yourself hooked up the local community here with those Blackwater, Clearwater genetics, black velvet, really nice. Must make sure that grower gets an old sample up, Joe. Just looking back there, yeah, Bobby there saying easy, easy a pound, easy that over £100 are sold there. One store they told me they've £1,100 a week. That's mad. £1,100 a week, and here we are locking people up for over 3 years, dragging them through courts and all of that for £150, less than £150. A day's business for one of these companies over there. For one of those companies, like one store. Like I shouldn't be laughing. Like this is actually serious, but look, because of how serious it is, it's probably better that I laugh than actually go and fucking get upset and depressed and stuff like. But it is upsetting, it is depressing. But Becca, let's laugh, because that's insane, and it's not one. It's so many people that are in that position right now. Ah, I just don't understand like how this has persisted for so long. I really don't, because if you were to go back in time, if you would get into a time machine right now and go back to when I was like 18 and I was out there legalized cannabis fighting at my first protest, alongside Grams and others. If you were to ask me then, how long do you think it'll be before cannabis is legal? And I would have easily said, oh, 2, 3 years maybe. Like easy, I probably would have thought like 2, 3 years. Like I probably would have thought that all throughout my adulthood. I have to remain optimistic, but yeah, it's insane that we still have prohibition today. How like can we still have prohibition today? There's so much cannabis actually consumed out there right now. Like There's so many cannabis consumers out there right now, and we still like we're still treated like criminals. Uh, like if we were all to stand, I always say this, but if we were all to stand up together all at once, like there's no denying the power that we would have, and how easy it would have been to get the laws changed, possibly. But we've kind of gone the long way about it, waiting on the politicians, and it seems inevitable now that the politicians are actually going to change things. We won't need that mass movement of people now to get legalization of cannabis. That event, what we've been doing over the years, persistence, our small groups that have been up running, a couple of hundred people at a time, which is amazing, but it in no way represents the actual number of consumers that would be out there. If we were to actually get that number actually represented in some way, we would have got legalization a long time ago. We would have ended prohibition a long time ago. The fear, the division, the stigma, that kept us in our place for too long, way too fucking long. Uh, Sorry, we're just packing up a little bit of GMO into the grinder here. We'll finish off with a bit of GMO. Black velvet to begin, GMO to finish. Then we go in and jump into some pizza slices. Then after we say our goodbyes. Yeah, still fresh. You can still smell the freshness there. Definitely. The taste, it's lovely as well. But yeah, it's in the jar now 2 days. So since it was properly dry, taken off the net, it's been in a jar 2 days. So it definitely needs a little bit longer to kind of get those aromas and flavors and all of that developed. But let's jump up onto the final headline that I have here for you this evening. And as I said, it's coming out of the UK. So here it is up on screen. Humble Gardener's heading off there. Sloan Humble Gardener. Have a nice evening. But this is up on screen there. You see the headline up there for you now. It says, in Newcastle, there was 3 men arrested in connection with a deadly house explosion and on suspicion of cannabis production. And you see in the subheadline there that a 7-year-old boy and a man in his 30s were killed after a blast tore through a row of 6 properties divided into 2 flats each. So that's an insane headline. And I would hate to think the details are not actually in the story. I've read through the story and it doesn't actually say whether the production of cannabis was actually linked to the explosion. But I could imagine a situation maybe where, let's say it was a fucking really high end cannabis grow up and they had some CO2 canisters or something in there. Because it was, I was thinking, like, what could be in there that could explode in a cannabis grow that could cause this much fucking devastation? And I was just kind of like, CO2 canisters, like some high pressure CO2 canisters, but like, would they possibly could, like the pressure, the explosion, would it? I don't know. It was the only thing I could think of. But if it was because of the growing of cannabis that led to this sort of an explosion, insane. Bobby saying that they're running BHO. They'd want to be running a lot of BHO, wouldn't they? Because for most people, like, that they're probably using maybe one of those lighter refills. But even if you had like a fucking one of those 30 kg like gas canister things, they probably wouldn't cause that much devastation. You'd want a couple of those for that size explosion, wouldn't you? Like, that's insane. You look at this photo here. That's absolutely insane what they done in this. The explosion did to the house or houses. And like the fact then that a 7-year-old boy and a 30-year-old man lost their life because of this. If this was because of cannabis prohibition, not because of cannabis production, because of cannabis prohibition. Cannabis prohibition leads to the mass production of cannabis in residential properties, which potentially could lead to fires or, in this situation, explosions. Now, as I said, as you go down through the details, the story is up on skynews.com. If you want to read into the story, it's not in the details. It doesn't blame the production of cannabis. It just says that there's been three men arrested in connection with the deadly house explosion. So they're being brought up on maybe manslaughter charges, I believe it was. Um, three men, two in their 30s, one in their 50s, have been arrested on suspicion of two counts of manslaughter. Yes, there is, and the production of a Class B drug, namely cannabis, and they all remain in custody. So as I said, there's no details in there that actually links to the explosion and the cannabis production. But for me, I can't help but put the two together and say, if it was cannabis prohibition. It was policymakers here that are to blame for this scene and the deaths of a 7-year-old boy and a man in his 30s. Absolutely horrendous stuff, like horrendous. War grade meth. Yeah, there was a story actually here in Ireland recently, where it was down in Killarney, down in County Kerry, where there was a met lab discovered, and that's a big one for Ireland. Like that they discovered a met lab. So all of the headlines, all the news outlets, they ran with it there this week. Um, I'm not going to even bother. I was surprised they didn't find one a long time ago. They had a picture of the lady there coming out of the court. I believe it was here in Cork. She was up in court. And she looked familiar. I don't know if I've seen her somewhere at some point at something. She looked familiar. But anyhow, definitely didn't get any meth off her. I've never actually tried meth. Bobby saying here the stuff is almost as bad as heroin. I'll take a word for it, Bobby. I'm not going to be rushing out there anytime soon anyway to try some meth. I got my herb and I'm happy. Got my herb, I got my family, and I got all you amazing people out there too. Don't need no meth. Shit, sorry to hear that, Bobby. Bobby saying hasn't tried any meth either, but lost a lot of friends to it. Yeah, it is definitely a much bigger thing over there in the US than it is here in Ireland. Like the consumption of meth here in Ireland, it's pretty much unheard of, really. Like I don't really hear a whole lot of it. You hear more about crack now these days. So I suppose with the smoking of crack would come the smoking of meth, maybe that would follow. Um, in terms of like a consumer base for one leading to a consumer base developing then for the other, inadvertently. I don't know. I'm open to correction on that, but that is my suspicion. Because yeah, definitely the consumption of crack has been a bit more prevalent across the Ireland drug consuming scene for a lot longer than I've heard of meth anyway. But anyhow, we've a bowl of GMO packed up here. Let's blaze this one up. Meth's much cheaper and you can make it. Yeah, that's what I would heard. That's what I've heard. All right. That's why I would believe that the one market would lead to the other. That for crack, people who would get addicted to crack, that they might be down and out in their luck, mightn't have the money to be able to kind of keep up the habit of crack, and then hey, meth being a cheaper alternative. That yeah, as you say, maybe they can make it themselves, or maybe somebody they know can make it for them and have them sell it for them as well. Mad. But obviously, everybody's seen Breaking Bad, and that's pretty much what they're saying, comparing that thing to Breaking Bad, Kerry style. Shout out to all the kingdom, the kingdom heads. We'll offer up the next bowl here to the kingdom. Pretty accurate gauge with Breaking Bad. Yeah, it was a great show, to be fair. Like, that was an amazing show. But yeah, it did show it quite well. Just probably not a science teacher making it. But what really annoys me, Bobby, when I'm watching those shows, I can't help but being sitting there watching these shows and help but think that most people watching this are going to be thinking, geez, drug dealers are so bad, aren't they? This is why people shouldn't be doing drugs. Oh, drug users, oh, they're so bad. But I can't help but think, that it's drug prohibition that enables all of this. It's policymakers that enable all of this. That there's a market there where there's a demand, there's going to be a supply, whether it be a legal or illegal one. If it's illegal, it's going to come with all of those negative consequences. If it's legal, then look, we see the difference already with alcohol being legal and illegal there in the US. It's probably one of few places where we can kind of point to and look and see, hey, prohibition doesn't work. Look at alcohol regulation today. You can point out there's many flaws to it. It isn't perfect. It has some devastating consequences out there for people and communities. But is it better than prohibition of alcohol? It certainly is, because look, for all of the troubles alcohol causes, look at all the much freaking. Even myself, I just talked there about how like we went and partied over there in Bangla Road and or in Thailand and Phuket. Like we had many good happy days, like parties there with alcohol involved. It's not always bad, but certainly it can be devastating. Can you say the same thing about meth? Maybe, but maybe there's probably less happy times and more bad times. Oh yeah. But yeah, prohibition. No, we don't need explosions like the one pictured there in the background. Anyway. So that's pretty much all of the headlines we have here for you this evening. Geez, we got that done in under 2 hours. We're just gone over the hour mark, so that's amazing. Well done. We'll pack up one more bowl. We'll jump into the hot box with you for a little bit. We'll blaze one, maybe 2 bowls with you. Let's see how the conversation goes. I think what we might open up the show to as well, maybe next week, just to give a heads up to anybody out there who might want to partake, is and we might start giving people the opportunity to get their voice on here. So we have the ability here with the Soundcaster that I have to actually connect the phone. So to anybody out there in the hot box over on Telegram, if you would like to, if you want to join us on here, just drop a message on that during the show next week. And we'll give people the opportunity to kind of get on and voice their thoughts and opinions live on air. Yeah, so that's the link is in the description of the show anyway, for anybody who's not already over there on Telegram. I think Telegram will be the best place to be able to do it from. Just so I don't have to be putting a phone number up there on screen. If you're already a member of the group over there in Telegram, if you message into that, I'll see that, and then I can add you to a phone call and get you chatting. So there we go. We've a bowl packed up and ready to go. Anyway, let's see what's cracking in the hot box. I see lots of slans coming in. Lots of people already checking out, so that's good. That's good to see. Good night, everybody. Glad I didn't have to keep everybody up too late tonight ranting and raving about how cannabis shouldn't be illegal anymore. As pointed out earlier by Mr. Finnegan, I'm preaching to the choir. Preaching, brother, yeah? So comments coming in there. Mr. Finnegan says, I met to make a joint. I see what you did there, Mr. Finnegan. Bobby Big Buds, how's you doing this fine evening, good sir? This is Mr. Finnegan and Bobby Big Buds. Love it. Michael O'Sullivan is out there as well. What's happening, Mike? Friendly grower, not a bother at all. You're more than welcome. And have a top evening yourself as well. And Mr. Finnegan, yeah, we have to be wide as well. Yeah, we have to filter out those ones. Getting those dodgy French Mexicans. I want you, Mr. Finnegan. I know your game. Yes. Bobby, we do have a bowl of GMO packed up here. But you know what? I think I'm going to sign off here before we actually say our final goodbye. We were pointing out the fact we have a nice little ball of hash here. I'm going to take a little worm of this off. I'm going to rip it into a couple of balls, and I'm going to put it into the bowl. So there we go. Hopefully we don't knock over this ball. Oh, she won't balance. Of course. Yes. There we go. We got it balanced. So I got the ball standing. Can rip this down into tiny little balls. So that big ball, I was able to rip it into tiny little balls because of how soft it is. Oh yes. There's another one. I kind of find that like a couple of pellets around the ball, you get a better hit off of it. I find sometimes when you have it in one big long piece, I used to put it in big snakes, long snakes, and I found that it just kind of it just smoldered for too long. You were kind of really hitting off it like for way too long. You're getting like, whereas this way, like you can kind of really get through it quick enough. 2 or 3 hits versus like 6 or 7 hits. Yeah, that this is definitely nowhere near 25% hash to 75% herb either. We're probably more along the lines of maybe 10% at best. 5% if you're being a bit judgmental. But yeah, we'll offer up this next one to my son who's 3 today. With a little celebration bowl. Congrats, buddy, mate, on your third trip around the sun. Delighted to be able to celebrate it with you, and I'm gonna offer this one up to being able to celebrate many, many more with you as well. So, happy birthday, Elijah! And thanks everybody for the birthday wishes coming in through there and for sharing it with me. Like, there's no denying there that there was hash in that bowl. The flavour that just came through on that, no denying it. Ah, delicious. Oh, oh. As I say, like these bowls, like they're with the hash, they're long busters, but they're never ending long busters. Still smouldering away here nicely. Oh, thought I was getting it done in 2 or 3. This is 5 there, was it? Last one. Yeah, that was a proper birthday bowl. It's probably another few baby hits in that, but we leave them just add to the ambience in the room there. Burn since are smouldering away there like an incense. Ah, Bobby says I almost got a cough out of him. Just about. Uh, Teresa, what's happening, Teresa? I have to see yourself as well sometime, and all the rest of the gang from the CAA. It's been too long. Missed all those late night conversations with yourselves on the Tuesday nights or whenever it was that we used to kind of have those weekly meetings, monthly meetings, and stuff like that when we were quite active. But yes, hopefully everything's good with yourself out there, Teresa. Says Martin only caught up at the end. Hope you are all keeping well. Yeah, as you can see, we're still blazing away here, getting the news out there to the people, fighting the good fights. So as long as we're on doing that, then yeah, you can definitely take it that all is good in my camp. But yeah, Steve says happy birthday, Elijah. Nice one. Happy, appreciate that. We got lots of beautiful, lots of happy birthday wishes coming through there. Just reading Mr. Finnegan's comment there as I was saying that, and the word beautiful just kind of. He says, "Miss your madness, hun. Tell Trav I said hi. Also beautiful." And yes, I second that. Big shout out to Trav as well. Legend of a young fella. Um, definitely a credit to you. So, all right, Trav. Oh, those balls, they catch up with you. Whew. Oh, so Rashers is out there as well. Michael, what's happening? So we will start signing off there. I know there's pizza inside, so I'm itching to get into that. I've definitely worked up more than an appetite there with yourselves. Anyway, we got a couple of bowls, even a final birthday bowl there loaded up with some lovely, lovely fucking high grade homemade hash. And it's been made. It's actually coated now in the black velvet's resin from being in the bowl here, sharing the bowl here with the the herb. It's just coated in resin at the moment. Happy days. Ah, yes. Ah, yeah. Yeah, Rashers trees. We definitely have to get an old gathering going there. Maybe up in what was that fucking bar called again? The Fiddlers or something like that. That bar with all the things connected. um, but yeah, definitely long overdue. Oh, excuse me. Or maybe we might get something going down here in Cork. I think Kyle is talking about doing something down his way as well. Bit of a barbecue, maybe a bit of a camping, sleepover type of a gathering. So who knows? Let's see what happens. Colin's in there as well. What's happening, Col? Says happy hippie birthday, Martin. What's your favourite strain, mate? I kind of like them all. If I was to pick a favourite, geez, I'm always going to go with lemon skunk, man. That lemon skunk that I had there many moon ago. It was from DNA Genetics. They've discontinued it since. I've never been able to get it again. But I'll always remember that as just maybe it was just the environment, the night that was in it. But I'll just never forget the flavor that was that came off of that night. It was absolutely amazing. So that was Lemon Skunk by DNA Genetics. If I was to pick out an all-time favorite, that was probably it. I've always had a soft spot then for the lemon since then, but I think really if I was to pick a favorite flavor right now, I definitely would say cheese. Cheese was probably there as well, but I can't pick a specific one. It was just cheese in general. But if I was to be specific, I've never gotten like a lemon skunk like that lemon skunk I had that time. Seeds bought from DNA Genetics, brought back home, grown, harvested all by myself. Then dried it, brought it on a holiday with me. I brought it to Spain. We spent a night in Spain, down on the coast. Anyway, I can't remember where exactly it was, but the clubs weren't a thing back then. This was a good while back. This was back in 2013 or something like that. And we went on a cruise. Yeah, what age am I now? Actually, we went on a cruise. That would have been for my 21st birthday. Jeez, when I think, fuck, that's mad. Um, my 21st birthday, I bought a cruise. I got myself and herself a cruise as a present. I'm 35 now, so we're 2024. Jeez, that was like 2009 even. Like, that was a good while back. But I never forget it anyway. We grew the lemon skunk out and brought it on a cruise with me. And I can remember the lads. So we were on a Caribbean cruise. Obviously, it was off of like the coast of Spain, but a lot of the workers on there were Caribbean lads. And there was a bunch of workers walking up the ship. There was like three or four of them, like these Caribbean lads. And as they were approaching, I was out in like on the deck. It was that night. Myself and herself, we were there. I was having a smoke. She was having a drink, appreciating the starry night that we could see, and didn't spot the lads kind of approaching and what have you. But as they kind of got up there, they smelled what they could smell. There was no denying it. And we kind of got the smile, and it wasn't a look of disapproval anyway, that's for sure. But in fairness to the crew staff, they were highly respectful. So they didn't come over and like infringing our space or anything or say anything. They didn't say anything, but it was a look of approval. So yeah, sorry, long way around there of saying lemon skunk and cheese. Anyway, definitely a top two for me. Lemon skunk number one, cheese a very very close second. But yeah. And it was Elijah's birthday as well. The happy birthday was for Elijah. My son is 3 today. Teresa saying, yeah, the meet up well overdue. Let us know. We rent a gaff or something. That's a good plan as well, maybe. Uh, that's a good plan. I'll go to an Airbnb for the weekend. Had enough of being harassed. Gone to the dogs. It is. Oh shit. Maybe we can catch up there sometime soon and have a proper chat about what's going on. Has it been the cops harassing you over cannabis and stuff, or is it just other shit? You don't have to say it there, but yeah, it'd be good to hear from you. Love a tea, says Mr. Fginnon. Sign him up for the meetup anyway, that's for sure. Right. Mr. Finian says the one where I got lost at. Yeah, what was it called again? It wasn't Fiddlers. No, it was something that reminds me of Fiddlers. Dublin's gone to the dogs, says Teresa. Yeah, what was the name of that gaff? I can't remember it now at all for the love of me. Like, jeez, the one with all the bears connected to it out the back, like Finnets. No, it wasn't Finnets. It had a different name to it. Fibbers, Fibbers. That was it. Not Fiddlers, Fibbers. It was close. It was Fibbers. Yeah, there we go. Everybody's getting her in there now. Yeah, Fibbers. That was the one. That was an amazing spot. Like I really enjoyed that those few times. Like what I meant to be able to sit down and enjoy each other's companies while people could like drink their pints, but also like enjoy herbs, combustion of herbs, and not just tobacco. That was really cool. That was a really good spot and a really nice food as well. The food up there was good. But yeah, definitely we need a meet up anyway. That's for sure. So there we go, guys and girls, and everybody in between. Crazy world we live in today. Crazy world. Anybody catch the madness at all above in the dial? One of the Healy Rays apparently was speaking out of turn and he got called an effing asshole by was it Paul Murphy and a couple of others. But there was all sorts of stuff going on there. But absolutely insane. But it was because one of the TDs, Paul Murphy, he came out before and he said in public, that he's not gendering his baby. That him and his partner welcomed a baby into the world. It was a boy. It was born as a boy, but they're not going to gender it. So it's an it. And its name is Juniper. And the Healy Rays brought it up in a comment, and he said it back to him like he shouldn't have. It was inappropriate, probably using it in the way in which he did it. He attacked him on it. I don't approve of the way in which he used it. But I'd completely forgotten about that being the case, and yeah, it was just a mad world, really. Like that you bring a baby boy into the world. Like my son inside, like love him to absolutely the bits, like, but I could never actually think of referring to him as an it or any of my daughters for that matter either. But here we are. Here we are. What a mad world. Um, Insane. And that's been no way at all. Like, what would you say? Like, fucking clown versus Teresa. Like, not trying to be dismissive of thing. I'm completely open minded. I'm completely open to all people of walks of life. Like, certainly not pedophiles. Oh, that's another mad thing that's going on today. Is it maps? But yeah, mad world. But yeah, with that being said, actually, with an election being announced most likely tomorrow, I'll be running it. And if I was to ever be elected, I won't be a single issue candidate. When I run, I'll certainly be making drug policy reform the top of my agenda, because that's the place that I've most experience, knowledge, and drive for. But there's many other things that I've opinions on. And I won't be a single issue candidate, let's say that. John says Kerry lads are mad looking at actors for sure. Up the kingdom, boy. I think the Healy Rays are great crack. Like say what you will want about them, like, but the lads have been a fucking success down there in Kerry. Like you get down to Kerry, you know, when you entered Healy Ray country because the fucking roads are amazing. You're out there, you're in a village of about 50 people, and again, I don't mean offense to anybody, but you're in a village of about 50 people, and you're driving down like the best quality roads in Ireland, like up the kingdom. But yeah, give credit where credit's due. Like, so what if they might line the pockets of their brothers, their aunts, their uncles, and all of that stuff? Like, they've done well for the community because the community has voted them in time and time again. And why? Because like they serve the community well. They do so, yeah, to their own financial gain. But the community is still fucking voting them in every time. Like, if the community wasn't happy with them, they wouldn't vote them in. And anybody who says like, oh, but they're voters down in Kerry, they're a bunch of like, no, sorry, that's not how democracy really works. Like you can't like label people a bunch of idiots or whatever the case may be because they vote like in favor of a certain TD or whatever it might be. But yeah, up the kingdom on go on to Ely Race. uh, if they were here in Cork, like, I'd probably vote for them just for the crack that they cause up there. Like. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. So Adam and Brian are pointing out the Healy Ray making a mint off of the Ukrainian rent. I wouldn't be surprised. He probably emptied all the containers below through a mattress in there, a bit of plumbing, and he's like, look, we got the gas for the boys. Oh, yeah. But I'm not surprised that the boys are making a mint off it. Like, there's a lot of people out there actually getting a fair share of money from that whole thing. Absolutely insane. Um, I'm all for peace. I'm all for like making things better so people don't have to be like seeking asylum in other places, running away from wars. Definitely would like to see Ireland get its neutrality back because, be fair, like, are we really neutral at this stage? Like, I think we've kind of lost our neutrality to a certain extent. So I definitely would like us to take a much more neutral stance on certain issues to see an end to wars. Um, but that's just my uneducated opinion on that, I suppose, as drug policy has been my focus for the last couple of years, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, that was another comment about it. Actually, somebody fired back at the Healy Ray, and he says, "Actually, you're a millionaire or something like that." And he goes, "I can prove I'm not a millionaire at all." He goes, "I can bring it in here tomorrow, and I'll prove I'm not a millionaire." And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot it was your brother that's the millionaire, sure." Oh lads, they're fucking comical. Way that's a gas what goes on down there. I love it. uh, Gambinism, says Rasher. Oh, Gambinism. Yeah, I don't know if I tell you, you take a trip down there into Healy Ray country, like, and there's a sign up there, like, if you mistake the fact that you've went from a low quality road to a really high quality road, then they make sure that you don't miss the fact that you're in Healy Ray country because there's a big sign. Like, I think if I Google it, I'll probably be able to find the sign. I'd say. Let's see. Let's see. It should be there. I betcha. There it is. I know that's all his vote for him. That's most likely there. But when you're driving down and like there's a spot where you just go fishing down below, and when you're driving into the town, there's a welcome to Healy Ray country. No, it's not popping up here now. There's a lot of vote for Healy Ray. Damn, I thought that would have been there now. No. I'll get somebody local to send on the picture. I'll have a fee next time. Oh, lads and ladies. Adam says Trump back in the White House and Republican Party hold the Senate. What will it mean for cannabis federally? Who knows? Only time will tell there, but it should hopefully be good things to come. That's my hope anyway. Regardless what the outcome is, I'm always just going to hope that something good comes of it anyway, because fuck it, yeah, if we were to start thinking about what the worst could be, look, the worst could be that we continue with the current um, state that it's in, where cannabis remains federally illegal, which will be an absolute joke, where people remain in prison. That'll be a joke. My hope is, yeah, that soon cannabis is federally decriminalised, removed, rescheduled from, or whatever the case may be, and all federal cannabis prisoners be released. That would be huge. That's what I would love to see. Hopefully, Trump goes and does something like that. Maybe, let's see. But apparently, there's a lot of radical things going to be happening because of him, and the world is going to come to an end, according to some people's, which is insane. But who knows? Teresa says, does he believe RKJ and he is a help of, so don't know. Haven't heard him talk about it. Yeah, I listened to himself on the podcast, your man Robert Kennedy Jr., is it? And yeah, it seems like he's definitely a person who's open-minded, and wouldn't be against ending the federal prohibition of cannabis. So let's hope, as him as a health advisor to Trump, let's hope as maybe Musk as a financial advisor, that he'll point out the fact that, hey, look, it's actually not financially beneficial at all to be keeping all these people in a prison when they're actually no threat, and it's much more beneficial to have them out there being productive members of society. Because of the fact that they, like, say, for some people, they're locked up for consuming cannabis, some people are locked up for selling it. Consumers doesn't mean that you can't be a productive member of society, and the fact that you're buying and selling cannabis shows you can be a productive member of society. So again, there's a lot of benefit to releasing people from prison who are there for cannabis crimes. So let's hope there's sense talked through, and something positive happens soon. But only time will tell. Ah. So with that being said, anyway, the long goodbyes, we're almost here now, going in for 2 hours. 30 minutes of just having the crack here with yourselves in the hot box, which I do appreciate everybody's company, comments, likes, shares, all of that stuff, guys. You're absolutely amazing. Do appreciate Ollie. But I will say goodbye one last time. Yeah, we've put the weed away and everything. I won't pack up another bulk, so I'll be here 20 minutes later. And to be fair, I have to use the letters. So as we used to say in school, Anvil Cadium Dulgidine letters. Which means, for anybody who hasn't been through an Irish primary school, can I go to the toilet? And when you needed to go to the toilet in primary school, you had to put your hand up and be Anvil Cadium Dulgidine letters. And then you get permission to go to the toilet, obviously. So yeah, with that being said, good night, everybody. Enjoy blazing the rest of you. Owen says, hey, you watch Damn by the Gram. And actually, that's a good podcast for anybody out there who wants another cannabis friendly podcast, Damn by the Gram. It's a podcast based out of Amsterdam. We've caught a couple of episodes. I've got an invite actually over to go and be a guest on the podcast sometime. So hopefully maybe in a not too distant future I'll be a guest on that if I get to travel over there. But yeah, came in highly recommended as well by another member of the Hot Box. Shout out to Teddy's Farms. So Damn by the Gram for anybody out there looking for another cannabis related podcast to be tuning into at all. Yeah, Warp Addict, Rashers, Barry. Good night, everybody. Barry, we must catch up with an old doggy walk there one of the evenings. I'm not in it for tonight anyway. I was out earlier today, so we'll catch you another evening. But yes, keep it lit, everybody. Much love. Peace. Bye bye.